Hello and welcome to this edition of World at War. My name is Mohammed Saleh. No American president wants to lose a war in an election year, and Joe Biden knows this better than anyone else does. So when reports started to emerge that the United States of America had been shipping the long-range ATACMS missiles to Ukraine even before the American Congress passed the $61 billion security assistance package, what became abundantly clear was that the American strategy was to kick the can beyond the November presidential elections before any resolution or negotiations could be held for the Ukrainian war theatre. Make no mistake about this, last year the United States had pumped in a similar amount of weapons and money into the Ukrainian counteroffensive, which yielded very little on the ground. The newly sent ATACMS with a range of 300 kilometers will not change the reality on the ground. In its response, Moscow has begun targeting the Ukrainian railway lines and other means of logistics that can be used to transport the American weapons to the Ukrainian front lines. And this week, Russia has also begun deploying the S-500 Prometheus air defense systems with the claim that these new interceptors can even shoot down hypersonic missiles. So what's actually unfolding on the Ukrainian battlefield at the moment? Our next report gets more details. Russia's strategy is clear. The new weapons pumped in by the West would be taken down even before they're brought to the front lines for use. To this end, this past week, Russia has used its missiles and air force to carry out strikes on Ukrainian railways and weapons depots. In this video put out by the Russian Defense Ministry, Kremlin claims that it has managed to take out multiple rocket launcher systems, electronic warfare stations, over 200 Ukrainian drones, besides other military hardware that has been sent by the West. After hemming and hawing for over 6 months, Joe Biden managed to get the American Congress to approve the military aid to Ukraine. And American weaponry that had dried up in the Ukrainian war is now back in the battlefield again.
I'm making sure the shipments start right away. In the next few hours, literally a few hours, we're going to begin sending in equipment to Ukraine for air defense munitions, for artillery, for rocket systems, and armored vehicles. You know, this package is literally an investment, not only in Ukraine's security, but in Europe's security, in our own security. We're sending Ukraine equipment from our own stockpiles. Then we'll replenish those stockpiles with new products made by American companies here in America.
ATACMS with a range of over 300 kilometers have been handed over to the Ukrainian forces, and they've been in use at least since the 17th of April. The influx of American military aid means that all negotiations are off the table, and this is evident on the ground. Ukraine has resorted to the deliberate targeting of the Russian oil refining capacity. This video is from Russia's Smolensk region. A drone attack on the Russian oil refinery here sparked a massive blaze on the 24th of April. In the last 2 years of the war, Western sanctions have largely failed in curbing the financial muscle of Russia. So Kiev has now taken matters into its own hands and has been repeatedly striking at Moscow's oil refining capacity that contributes to almost 40% of Russia's GDP. On the 22nd of April, after a protracted period of pitched battles, the Russians claim to have overrun the Ukrainian defense forces in Novomkhilivka in the Donetsk region. Further north, the Russians claim to be in control of another settlement called Bogdanivka, as they are slowly beginning to surround the crucial strategic town of Chasiv Yar. According to the Ukrainian military, Russia at this moment has pumped in an estimated 25,000 troops to capture Chasiv Yar before the 9th of May, when Moscow observes its Victory Day parade. For the defending Ukrainian soldiers, the incoming American aid will only make a difference if it comes in sufficiently large quantities to push back the Russian onslaught.
If they had passed the aid package bill earlier, we would have lost a bit less ground. We could have maybe taken back some ground. If we already tried that hard with such a small amount, Some of that equipment is what the Russians leave behind when they retreat, and we use it against them. If they had passed it back then, it would have changed the situation dramatically.
А если б тоді ще ухвалили б?
On the 22nd of April, a Russian missile strike brought down a 240-meter tall television tower, disrupting television broadcast across Kharkiv. A deadly Russian drone struck Odessa on the 23rd of April, resulting in injuries to at least 9 people. A crucial challenge that Ukraine faces at the moment is the lack of solid air defense systems that would keep the critical Ukrainian infrastructure safe from the Russian missile and drone attacks. Volodymyr Zelensky has repeatedly called for at least 7 more Patriot air defense systems to be sent to Ukraine.
Moderate those questions.
Lloyd
Call on
Austin
journalists
has assured the
time
Ukrainians
constraints I would
that
ask.
the United
Those I call
States
upon
will
limit
send
the
across more
follow-up
Patriot
questions to give your
interceptors
colleagues a chance
along with
to ask
NASAM's air defense systems.
I'm also pleased to announce today an additional commitment of $6 billion through our Ukraine Security Assistance Initiative. That will allow us to procure new capabilities for Ukraine from U.S. industry. This is the largest security assistance package that we've committed to date. It will include critical interceptors for Ukraine's Patriot and NASAM's air defense systems, more counter-drone systems and support equipment, significant amounts of artillery ammunition and air-to-ground munitions, and maintenance and sustainment support.
The United States can step in and solve the shortage of weapons for Ukraine. But the biggest challenge that confronts Kiev at this moment is to convince the young men of fighting age to sign up and go to war against the Russian invading forces. The patriotic flood of volunteers who had signed up to join the army at the outbreak of the war is drying up. In the month of March, Kiev's top military general had said that Ukraine would need to mobilize almost 500,000 soldiers, for which over 130 recruitment centers across the length and breadth of Ukraine have been opened up. But there are issues of trust that are keeping a lot of Ukrainians out.
Many people are hesitating and don't want to sign anything with the government. There is no trust. Objectively and subjectively, there is none. Okay, then it means we couldn't convince them, even though there are many arguments as to why signing a contract has its advantages. Thus, join the mobilization, but not just anywhere. There are up to 80 military bases that you can join through mobilization. Find yourself a position, communicate, and join.
Military contests are decided by logistics and also by the question as to who can field technologically superior weapons. And this week, Russia deployed its first batch of S-500 Prometheus air defense systems with the claim that these missiles can shoot down even hypersonic missiles. The Russia-Ukraine war is a direct contest of weapon systems fielded by Russia and the West. And so far, the Western claims that their weapons have an edge over the weapons fielded by Russia have proven to be hollow.